Hey there, friends. Right then, technique number 14 is create callbacks. Create callbacks, which I do a lot in my novels. And I think the first time I picked up on it really was watching stand-up comedy, funnily enough, because you see it quite sort of starkly in stand-up comedy when in the first part of an act, a comic will make a joke. And then later on in the act, while telling another joke, he references the first one. And there is something about that referencing back that makes the laugh bigger. It kind of swells the effect, and you see it quite often also in drama. I think particularly something like The West Wing. If you like The West Wing, Aaron Sorkin is brilliant at using things where he brings up the same theme or the same point or the same phrase several times during a show. Lee Child in the Jack Reacher books does it a lot, and I certainly do it a lot in novels because I kind of think that's how the human brain works. You know, we're going along with our daily lives, but all the time we're thinking about things that have happened before. And something like, for example, I'm going through the last season of Game of Thrones with my daughter at the moment. Now, I've seen it before, but she hasn't. And of course, that final season is absolutely packed full of callbacks. One of the most beautiful ones of which I think happens at the very end of the first episode of season 8, where Jaime Lannister gets to Winterfell and he gets off his horse and he's looking around, he's trying to find his bearings, and then across the courtyard he sees Bran Stark, who's the kid, no longer a kid, but he was the kid in the first episode who he pushed out of the window, and in many ways started a chain of events. And what happens, I think, to us as an audience is that when we see that look, which is a remarkable piece of acting, no words, just an expression, and you sort of feel all the kind of the pain and the suffering and all the, you know, when in the first episode, Jaime Lannister sort of looks like a Hollywood film star or something, doesn't he? And by 8 years later, or 8 seasons later, he's sort of a husk of himself in many ways. Anyway, that final season is full of those kind of moments where we're referencing things that have happened before, and because they've happened before, they somehow have more gravity, more gravitas. And you can do that in your business stories. So one of the things I say in my origin story, for example, is I talk about how when I first left IBM, I was doing this strategy work, this kind of 10-point plans and pitches and what have you. And then later on in the story, I referenced them by saying I had no time for the strategy or the 10-point plan. I just had to go to this meeting. And again, it's one of those things I look for very much when I'm dealing with clients, is I look for things that, how can we use the past to explain the present or the future? And that's what a callback is. And if you can find those things that resonates at both ends of your story or at different points in your story, very often polishing them up and bringing them to the surface can be really valuable. Okay, that's technique 14. Technique 15 is going to be, friends reference for you here. I like big butts, I cannot lie.